My mother is not a cheerleader, nor does she claim to be. And if my mother were a cheerleader, she wouldn't have wasted her breath on the lying drama queen that I was. Actually, Miss Day, this is common. Her thighs are compensating for the lack of stability in her feet, making them tight, he said to her. I was excited to have a doctor on my side until he followed with, "That's why her thighs are so big." Did I mention that he didn't have much of a bedside manner? My mother was really embarrassed now. She felt the need to defend herself against the non-existent jury. She's a drama queen and a chronic liar. I thought she just wanted foot rubs, she said to the doctor. Although I was well on my way to rehabilitation, she had every right to think that. I confirmed that fact with the doctor, and DCFS was not called to haul me away. We were back in the car, engine running, and the instructions to stretch daily in hand when my mother looked at me. My mother is not perfect, but she is rarely wrong with me. She never says she knows something when she doesn't, and has more experience and common sense than I do. So I've never heard her genuinely apologize. She's never had to. Laura, I am so sorry. If I would have known, she paused. I am so sorry. I smiled, because for the first time in my life, I was right. I also got some ice cream out of it, so I told her that I forgave her. But this moment made me really proud. It was a great reward for my attempts to change my ways. The relationship between my mother and I also began to change, with more moments of friendship and trust poking through the adolescent hostility that I carried through my teenage years. Our relationship was mending so well that even as a teenager, I enjoyed attending my first concert with her, Godsmack, opened by Rob Zombie, when I was 15. It was on a school night, and she smelled the weed first. She became more and more honest with me about her past life as the years went on, sharing stories about the birth father I rarely knew. My favorite story includes my father getting very drunk and placing himself as flat as possible on a nearby wall. I imagine his palms flat on the wall with enough pressure to make his knuckles turn white. He'd say, "Hey guys, look, I'm plastered." And the laughter would fill up the room. Then he would say, "Get it? I'm plastered on the wall, and I'm plastered because I'm drunk." He's a dork. One that loves attention as much as I do. Every opportunity I get that I encounter alcohol and walls, I make sure to duplicate this scene. I wish I was there to see my mother act so carelessly with such careless people. Although my mother is no longer careless, she has still obtained a number of cool points from the friends of mine that know what Rocky Horror is. I always tell people about the origin of my name, stemming from the Rocky Horror Picture Show part that my mother played in high school. She would dress up in shimmering rainbow booty shorts, a penguin suit top covered in gold sequins, a matching gold sequin top hat, and a pair of bright blue socks just to act out the part of Columbia playing on the theater screen behind her. Columbia was played by Little Nell Campbell, also known as Laura, and it just happened to be where my mother had met my father. He was the sweet transvestite. They couldn't agree on a name until Little Nell's real name of Laura was thrown into the mix. It always makes me smile to see the reactions of the people I tell. I now know that if they cringe, they probably won't be my friend for much longer. 11 years after the beginning of a perfect mother-daughter bond I have now, and my incomplete diagnosis, my mother complained of her sympathy pains. I would be lying if I said I was upset about my mother's sympathy pain. It was actually very satisfactory to me. Now that my mother and I had mended our relationship and become friends, I could even tell her that. I was on my butt, scooching down the stairs, and my mother was holding the cast on my right leg propped up in front of me. I was in so much pain that I became scared the surgery didn't work. My doctor made it seem so straightforward. Plantar fasciitis was caused by the extranavicular bone. Therefore, take out the extra bone and pain goes away. This news from my fourth foot doctor was a blessing at the time. My pain had never gotten better, but instead got worse as the years went on. This surgery, even though reconstructive, had a 95% success rate. When he explained the procedure, I wasn't afraid at all. I was excited for a life of no pain, even if I had to go through an entire year of recovery. My mother took 3 days off of work to care for me, even though she works from home, and I told her that I would be fine. I wasn't fine. I would have starved and pissed in my bed if it wasn't for her. I was going to take the train to school and have my mother just drop me off at the train station, but she wouldn't let me. You don't want to do that. You'll regret it. Let me drive you, she would say over and over again. At least the train was there as a backup if we ever needed it, but we never did. My mother's pain went away when my cast came off, and this was also when she forgave herself. She made up for not believing little lying Laura by tending to me when I needed her most. Today, my mother is my best friend. I go to her with advice about men. We go on vacations together. We get drunk together. Hell, we can even live together peacefully now. The journey our relationship has taken surprised everyone, especially me. I love you, Mom. Happy belated Mother's Day. Mwah.